Hi, I'm Unzibe Fodike, your host for Storiez, and on this episode we have Priscilla and Didi Akutu Carter talking about family. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Slay Stories. My name is Unzibe Ufodike, and this is our brand new show that spotlights inspiring individuals and initiatives championing diversity in their unique way while slaying in their lane. Our theme today is family, and we are delighted to welcome our guests, the Akutsu Carter family. Didi and Priscilla actually met back in 2005. They held a civil partnership in 2011 and then adopted their little girl as a baby in 2014. The couple, who are both born and bred Londoners, now reside in Surrey, and they are keen advocates for adoption, LGBTQ parenting, and have taken part in a number of talks, panels, and national campaigns. Do check out their family Instagram accounts. But here in the studio, Priscilla, Didi, welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for accepting the invitations. Lovely to see you both.
You too.
You too.
Cool. So I'll just jump right into it, right? So I was keen to get your view on what family means to you. You've done a lot of work around representation and you have a beautiful family. So are you happy to share a bit of what that means, what family represents?
Yeah, sure.
So I think when we think about family for us, it's a mixture. In our family, we have relatives who have been sort of great and do continue to support us, but also very, very, very close friends of ours who we'd consider as close as family anyway. So it's a real range and hodgepodge of individuals, and it's really quite unique.
It is quite unique. I think we've tried as much as we can to be as diverse as possible in terms of, our actual family and then like named family. So you have friends and stuff, who we do call family. Ava calls, auntie and uncle. But we've been very careful. I mean, we've always been quite diverse in terms of friends and anyway, but we wanted to make sure that, her experience was also diverse and like truly diverse. And that's in terms of like faith, it's in terms of ethnic background, all different types. So yeah, I guess that's probably...
It's a support system.
Yeah, our support system is our family, and that's made up of blood family and a natural friend family.
Thank you. And you're dialing in from Surrey right now, I take it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know most relationships and families have been impacted by the lockdown and Corona. I don't know if you can share some tips on how, you survived and how you went through lockdown, and any tips others can share and take away from that.
I mean, in many instances, like everybody else, there was restrictions in terms of who you could see, but we've stayed connected the whole way through. We've stayed connected whichever way we could, however we could, and using things like Zoom. So people who weren't massive advocates of Zoom before in our family now have just become a bit of a dad hand. Ava is excellent on Zoom and has had a few Zoom parties.
Yeah.
But also, you go as far as you can go within the bounds of the restrictions. So people were, it was winter time. You could go out and meet in the park. We did lots of hikes, lots of walks, lots of meeting with friends outside, despite the fact that it was cold. It was just the importance of connection for us.
Yeah, I think, we've tried to, the lockdown and the pandemic has been, well, it's been problematic, hasn't it, in terms of economically, in terms of like just generally socially as well. So we've tried to use it and find the positive in it. So we've done things as a family. We've done a lot more hikes and being green spaces. And I guess being out in Surrey, that's been quite helpful. We may drive and meet people in the park. But we found that's the best way. That's how we've kind of like lived through lockdown, is to try and find the positives in that. We used to work quite long hours in central London. So actually now working at home means we have more of a balance. So we trying to find the positives in what has been quite a difficult time.
Yeah, we had a few lockdown parties and celebrations to just kind of maintain that human connection. So it's good to hear those tips from you. And I don't know what you feel about the media's representation of family more broadly, or your interaction within your sort of extended family and versions of family.
Yeah, so I think in terms of the media representation of family, I think things are better. and that's sort of in our personal view. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the work that we do in on sort of Instagram, and some of the people have been looking for diverse families. So a lot of the work we've been doing, people have been looking for that level of diversity. Even if you look at certainly in the UK, you're looking at TV commercials, you see more representation, more families of colour. I've seen sort of same-sex families. So it's better. Is it where it we want it to be?
No.
Yeah.
But every step, I think, every step.
Yeah, I think they definitely have seen a jump since Black Lives Matter last year with George Floyd, and kind of that opening up certain conversations. I do think there's still definitely a level for them. They need to push it a lot further than they're doing. I think we need to be very careful about some companies kind of like just window dressing and making sure that if they're, if we're going to, really show the diversity that we live in, that we are really doing it. And I think, yes, they definitely made steps, but they haven't made leaps and bounds, should we say. And I think more could be done to definitely push that a lot more and do more. And they should be doing more, because the world we live in is what, when we walk, go outside and look around, what we see is diversity. So that needs to be reflected, in the media. And I think they can definitely do more.
I remember, just like you're saying, post George Floyd, lots of corporates did try to do more. And I remember one of the supermarkets that had a diverse representative family advert, and it was interesting to see the reaction of the public to a Black family as, a campaign for a particular supermarket chain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll always get that reaction for any first. Anytime you're doing something which steps outside of the norm, anything that steps outside of what people see, and that kind of, especially family, is quite, that's very personal to all of us. So if you see something which sits outside of the construct, there will always be a reaction. But you need those bold people, bold companies, bold individuals to put that stuff out there in the first instance.
I mean, to be honest, we're not the kind of family you come across on a day-to-day basis. So when people do kind of like me, I think they always find it quite intriguing, and we'll ask questions. And to be honest, sometimes I don't mind the questions being asked, because it then kind of like it opens up a dialogue for us to have, because people are not used to seeing two same-sex, a same-sex family, and let alone a same-sex Black family as well, and adoptions. We have quite a lot of intersectionality as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And can you share what it felt like when you were both able to become civil partners back in 2011, please?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I think we had quite a long engagement, to be honest. I think we got engaged after 3 years, and then decided to have our civil partnership after 6 years in our relationship. And for us, it was the right step to make, but the most emotionally, it felt the right step to take at the time. I think we were really ready at that time, but it was very special to us. And then it wasn't like, I know marriage came in a bit later, but just being able to do a civil partnership and also have like a religious blessing with that as well, for us was like kind of the icing on the cake of our relationship. We've done a lot of work in terms of building foundations to our relationship. So that was like, it was a big commitment, but the right commitment, and it just felt right. And so it was quite a big deal for us, I think.
This is something we talked about recently. We talked about, actually, if you think about all of the work and the history that's gone before us, we're so fortunate to be able to meet, and it's almost like that it wasn't thought through in that sense. It was, okay, right, the next step for us, let's get engaged. The next step for us is civil union. But there's been so much that's happened in the background to mean that we have that liberty and we have that ability to be able to meet, to civil partner now, and now get married. There's been so much. We've sort of built on a huge amount of work that's happened in the LGBTQ campaigning space. We're really fortunate, very fortunate.
Absolutely. And I think it was, so we did our civil partnership in 2011, and it'll be 10 years this September. So we will be changing that to a marriage certificate this year, to kind of just mark the 10 years of 16 years together, and in 10 years in a civil partnership straight marriage. So we're doing that this year. But absolutely the work that has gone into just being able to do that for us has been, for us, it was like the icing on the cake, and almost like the beginning of a new chapter. So it was fantastic day.
Yeah, and I know you're both Londoners, but did you feel like maybe some pressure from family to have that like big cultural wedding with festivities? And you know how it is. My background is Nigerian, and we don't do small weddings.
Yeah, I mean, my background's Nigerian, so and Priscilla is
I'm
Saint
Lucian.
Lucian. So
yes, there is that pressure, but I have to say we are quite headstrong.
yeah,
And we always do things our way. So we knew very much what we wanted. We knew the size. We knew the guests. We weren't just inviting people for the sake of inviting them because we knew them when we were two. It was all people who we knew, we loved, we wanted to be there, and they wanted to be there with us, and just really, really special. So there are conventions, and especially culturally, but we bucked those.
We did buck those, and we didn't. Being Nigerian, you can always have like a traditional wedding as well, which we thought about it, but we didn't do in the end. But we just kept it. We just made it the day that we wanted to have, really, and just made it almost like started a new trend, our own thing, really.
Yeah, they can be pretty expensive too. Can put down a mortgage for some of the weddings. And the final question for both of you, Priscilla and Didi, is around sort of love rituals and things in a relationship that you perhaps do to maintain that, strength and that bond. Can you share tips for young lovers out there, people starting out on their relationship journeys, so they can take notes?
Absolutely, yeah. Make time. That is probably one of the, and it's something that obviously we've got very busy schedules individually. Our little one, she's got a busy schedule, so we always talk about making time, and sometimes that balance sort of gets slightly off where work commitments and sort of parenthood takes over. But in fact, last weekend we call it day dates, because when you've got a young child, having a day date's a bit of a luxury. It's usually evening time dates. And we had a day date. So we went out, went to the gallery, went for lunch, went for dinner, and spent time together, which was. And we've got another one planned in July and in August. So
we are like scheduling. We can always be more spontaneous. What I'd probably say actually is, there's this kind of like joke within like whether it's a bi relationship or whatever same-sex relationship, from a female perspective, where you can feel the emotion and kind of just run with it. And I'd say just take your time. Take your time, and if you do find that person, and make sure you're on the same page. So open communication, but honest open communication, because that's how you find out if you're on the same page, and really take time to build those foundations, build those strong foundations. It's very easy to kind of gallop along and be like, oh my God, this is like amazing, let me just do this and do this. But take your time, it will come, and let it flow. And that would be my biggest, because I think that's what probably helped us in the beginning. There wasn't really anyone to kind of look up to, so we had to kind of make up our own story, really. So, but take your time to kind of build those foundations. You'll go through a lot together, and you're there to support each other, but communication, and open and honest communication. And sometimes it's not as easy because it feels quite hard, or you feel like it hurts another person, but being open and honest, actually you're helping them, even though they may not feel that at the time. But that's how I think we started from day one, really open and honest with each other, and then it's just built it from there. So strong foundations builds a strong house.
Oh, I like that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you, the beautiful Didi and Priscilla. That's all we have time for, I'm afraid, but you heard it from them. Take your time and make time for those relationships. I'm your host, Nzube Ufodike. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Slay Stories that was all about family. Until the next time, like, subscribe, share, comment on the bottom. Thank you. Bye.